Awani Sunalai. All right, Associate Professor Dr. Jaripun Supo, Vice Rector of Information Technology, Thammasat University. Assistant Professor Dr. Chayatrit Aswati Tanot, Dean, College of Innovation, Thammasat University. Associate Professor Dr. Kom Kampiranon, Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Research, College of Innovation, Thammasat University. Associate Professor Dr. Hashim Fazil Arifin, Head of Study Center, Faculty of Hotel and Tourism Management, UITM, Penang Branch. Dr. Anderson Glambong, Chairperson of the UITM and Thammasat University MOU, UITM Penang Branch. Very good morning to all. Okay, today I'm going to deliver my keynote presentation to all the audience. Could you give me time to start sharing my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, Professor.
Thank you very much. All right, this morning, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to speak on the advancement in education. Okay, how to shape the future of our graduates in different perspective and different directions. Okay, according to Malaysian new blueprint of education. Okay, I'm Associate Professor Dr. Ahmad Rashidy bin Razali from the ITM Penang. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today my content of presentation will include the introduction of what I'm going to speak today to all the audience. I'm going to share about the open and distant learning, especially the experience that we have in UiTM Penang. And next, I'm going to talk about the basic of outcome-based education, which is the basic foundation of the development of the curriculum that we use at UiTM for our accreditation purposes. The next one, I will going to talk about the technical and vocational framework, which is a bit surprisingly important nowadays for Malaysia, especially towards becoming a developed nation. This is one of the driven initiative by the government to propel Malaysia towards the developed countries. We need this workforce in terms of the technical and vocational. And finally, I'm going to slightly touch a little bit on the human governance, very short, sharing that how important is the human governance in a university to move forward to be an excellent higher educational institution. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there are 4 keys in education advancements that I'm going to talk today. Okay, I believe that there could be more keys or important points from other countries in their education sectors. But today, this morning, I'm going to highlight 3 or 4 things. Okay, as I mentioned before, advanced in education about open and distant learning, outcome-based education, okay, technical and vocational framework, and also human governance. These are all 4 important things for Malaysia to move forward to become a developed countries, and its educational framework must be in line with what is needed by the government and the nation at the moment. Okay, let's see, move on to the first topic of my presentation today. I'm going to touch on the open and distant learning, how it has become so important now. Okay, I think all over the world is now changing their delivery methodology, from face-to-face into the open and or e-learning, due to pushing factor that we call that we had it for the past 2 years due to COVID-19 pandemic. Everyone knows that we have a new normal, too many new normal that we have to face in our daily life. It is also affect our economy, it affect our travel, travel to different countries, especially in the education sector. And finally, that has pushed, okay, the education sector into the open and distant learning needs. And the university has to change their paradigm of teaching and learning, okay, into an e-learning which can cover, okay, everywhere, anytime education. Right? I think everyone knows that open and distant learning is a learning process without the need to physically attend a university. Many countries, especially developed countries, they have applied such delivery methods. Okay, and I think many developing countries also moving towards that. By the pushing factor of the last 2 years pandemic has propelled many universities to enhance or equip their universities with the facilities, okay, to make sure that they open and distant learning okay, as important as the face-to-face teaching. Okay, it is about learning process everywhere and anywhere you are. I think the new normal now, everyone knows that we can have the delivery of our curriculum in online classes, as such as online supervisions, online classes. And lastly, what about classrooms? So we are going to move towards an era of less classroom, but a bigger bandwidth of teaching and learning through via our virtual connectivities. That's important thing. That there will be a very big change in the way university will work in the future, I believe. But we cannot totally dismiss the needs of classroom and laboratories, but we can minimize them by pursuing online classes. At UiTM Pulau Pinang, we have categorized the teaching and learning into 3 categories, open and distant learning. Okay, the first one, we call it the synchronous online classes. Everyone knows, and this type of learning is actually about teaching in a live streaming situation where lecturers and students, they have to engage in online classes at the same time, so they can actually talk live to each other through many platforms, I think, available in the internet. Microsoft Teams, WebEx, Google Meet, and we are using now the Zoom, Skype, FB Live, and everything. As long as the student and the lecturers can meet up, in a live environment virtually. Okay, but the important things to highlight here is that it requires high bandwidth of internet connectivity. So all the 2 parties, the students and also the universities, they have to come together to make sure that they have a high bandwidth of internet connectivity to make this connection realized. However, the next category, we call it category number 2. Okay, with asynchronous online classes, this actually another category which engage students and lecturers in online platform. However, we have the online classes engage not at the same time. We call it asynchronous because we can just lecturers can just upload the teaching material into any platform. If our university we have New Future, we can also use Google Classroom, MS Teams, any device, WhatsApp or Telegrams that the student can access anytime, anywhere. Okay, this is important for the student. They will be given a certain time frame to read a content and in 1 week, and the lecturer will actually update with the students how they can cope up with that content. Okay, this requires a little bit low bandwidth because they don't have to have an engagement through live streaming. Okay, this is another options that the lecturers and the student can take up in case they have a problem in live streaming. At UiTM Pulau Pinang, we also consider the least possibilities that could occur. Okay, for our students who live maybe in the rural areas. Okay, we call it a learning package postal deliveries. So during the class assessment in the early semester, in the first week, the lecturer must be able to determine or identify students who are unable to attend the class, but they are living in an area where they couldn't get internet connectivity. So what the lecturer can do is to send the learning package postal delivery stage by stage, chunk by chunk, according to per week content of curriculum that they can learn. Okay, and the lecturer will follow up with the students through maybe voice call for the Q&A sessions. But this is only for the student who is could be least possible. They live in a very rural areas. Okay, we think that this condition now has become close to 0% of the student, because most of the students now are able to attend, okay, any area with the connectivity of internet. Okay, and we hope that this, okay, category number 3, okay, is not an option anymore for the students, so that they can be able to access the internet through any communication with the lecturers to get into the college, to get it communication with the college, that they will be able to stay in the college to get the internet connectivities. I will talk about it later on how to deal with this situation. Okay, so everyone, okay, don't get confused. I think you have got the ideas of that normal delivery of online learning. But in attending and engaging the online classes now is becoming more challenging. Okay, as we learned in the past 2 years, there are many challenges that the student and the university have to face, especially on content deliveries. Content delivery depends on how we perform, how we select the type of content suitable for the delivery on online delivery. Let's say we have a theoretical content. Let's say we have another something to do with the laboratories. So they have to be a suitable way of communications, okay, through students and lecturers. Whether they want to do it into demonstration, sharing the videos, these are all the challenges they have to face. Accessibility, of course, as I said before, is how, okay, the university's content is accessible by the student anywhere, anytime. Financial sustainability is another important thing, because okay, in providing this sort of internet connectivities by the university to the student, we have to make sure that every equipment, especially for the wireless connectivity network, is up to date, able to give the right bandwidth to the students to access the information. Okay. Another important thing, especially for the program, is assessment quality. Okay, how do we perform the assessment? How do we make the examination done through virtual connectivity? That is very important, and making sure that the quality of it is at par, okay, with the physical face-to-face examination. Okay, those are the challenges. Okay, another part is the practical session. Okay, the student who have to attend the practical session, they should be able to see or be in person at a particular area, especially in industry, or they have to engage in internship. Okay, these are the challenges. Okay, but nowadays I think the pandemic COVID has become endemic. So the placement at the internship should be okay, but practical sessions, okay, we can still, okay, provide them with the two options, whether we can have it face to face or online communication. And finally, of course, the support system by the university. The support system is not only about the financial, but it's also about the mental and mental stability of the student. Because for the past 2 years, we have experienced students who cannot cope, okay, with the stress of learning online. So we have to make sure that we can deal with it, and to make sure that the students are at a good mental state for them to be able to graduate, okay, and from their program. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me just share with you content or challenges and some of the solution that we have managed to provide to our students here. Maybe I think the audience outside also experience the same thing, and especially when I talk about these 6 challenges. The first one is the internet connectivity. Okay, the way that we can do here to deal with it is to lecture to get to know the students' internet limitation. Okay, and then with that information, student can adjust what group of student can have live streaming, what group of student can have asynchronous teaching methodology, or whether we can just send the packages to the students. Okay, about the assignment. Okay, maybe 2 assignment, too many assignment in one short period of time per student. So the head of program must be able to identify this and distribute it evenly, okay, throughout the 14 weeks of semester. Okay. Another part is with regards to the financial problem. Okay, universities, we have financial support units that can actually help students who are in needs. Okay, so the PA is for personal advisor. Okay, they can help the students to be able to engage with this financial support. Okay, the next challenges is with regards to the time slot between the classes. This also involve the head of program and the lecturers to be able to monitor, okay, that all lecturers must stick to the scheduled time slot, not to be to make student clash between classes. Okay, this is another experience that we have to manage them, because once you don't have the face-to-face, the lecturer have time, more flexible time, okay, to engage with the students. But in order for us to avoid, okay, clashes between students' time slot, the lecturer must stick to the scheduled time slot, okay, provided by the academic affairs, right? Another part is the condition at home is not suitable. During the pandemic, we see that many students, they are stuck in the house, but okay, the way that they try to normalize themselves to be more adaptable to the situation that they are actually studying in campus but virtually from home. This is very, very challenging for them and for the family themselves, because at the same time they have to deal with the day-to-day family matters. But now universities start to open and to promote students to come back to hostel to get the internet access, okay, especially for students who are in needs and live in the rural areas. Okay, these are the initiative by the university. Okay, and finally, psychological stress due to ODL, as I mentioned before. Okay, we need to actually provide that, set the counseling session. We have the counselors, right, at the university. We have to set the counseling session offered by the campus counselors to the student who need the service. Okay, we cannot take it for granted, because we have seen many cases here. Student drop out due to the stress in teaching and learning. A student do not want to proceed with the study because they cannot cope with the online learning methodologies. There will be balance between how university ratio between the online and face-to-face classes. This is very important in taking into account this psychological stress factor into the calculation. That's give us an overall conclusion that online and distance learning will be the future of education. So I believe that all universities is moving towards that scenario, and we'll be able to understand that the government under the Ministry of Education must drive this through supports, financially and also expertise. Okay, let's move on very quickly to my second driving factors of advancement in education is outcome-based education. Malaysia is one of the signatory countries that apply outcome-based education in its, for example, engineering education. So outcome-based education is actually an educational theory that bases each part of an educational system around goals, right? So when we want to create educational system, we have to already predict the goals of that educational system. See, by the end of the educational experience, each student should have achieved the goal. Okay, so we provide what the student should be, and then we reverse to get the curriculum provide the curriculum, which will be able to provide the student to achieve the goal. That's the concept of OBE. Let me go in a little bit detail, but it's not that hard to understand, because in a university we have this concept of curriculum structure delivered by 14 weeks or per semester. In OBE system, OBE is this to support your continuous quality improvement, right? So by having a goal, we have the first one is the program educational objective, PEO. PEO is actually the objective of the program, what the student should be after 3 to 5 years of graduation. Okay. And the second one is the PO, program outcomes. Program outcomes is actually an outcomes of the students' attributes prior to graduation. So upon graduation, the students should be able to achieve a certain program outcomes. It has been listed by certain professional bodies depending on the programs, or by the Malaysian Qualification Assurance, right? All right, so these are the things that they have to take into account, and when they have decided on that, then they get down to the course program CO, course program which will map to the program outcomes. Okay, course outcome map to program outcomes. So each courses, they will have certain program outcomes embedded into that, so that this program can measure the output, right? So the rest of it is just a feedback system from teaching, lecture starts, and okay, and then we have assignments, exit, and we have to measure the PO attainment. Okay, and finally we can have our continuous quality improvement done in one cycle per semester. Okay, it's not that difficult to understand, because everyone here is in the same educational background, right? So the QMS, quality management system using OBE, actually have 3 layers. If you have OBE, we have at the CO, at the course level, of course outcome level, program outcome level, and program educational outcome level. There are 3 levels, okay, in these 3 circles. So each circle, they have a specific action to be taken, making sure that the CQI process has been done, right? Okay, let me bring you or the audience to the outer circle, which is the PO circle. Okay, and then we have to see that the PO circles depend on the second circle, the inner circle, the green circle. So these are the circles. That's very important. Feedback from the stakeholders. Okay, alumni. We have industry feedback. We have the industry advisory panel. We have the external examiner reports. But we are missing one thing here. Before we are missing the student feedbacks into the curriculum. Okay, so in making sure that our curriculum revision is done in the proper manners, we should also take into account student feedback. So here I would like to share with you. At YT Envelope Penang, we also introduced another input to this OBE system curriculum. We call it student feedback system. Okay. We put it here, the picture of student here, in that COPO and PO CQI circle. Okay. By having student, okay, PO monitoring system, okay, this is the new system that we are able to extract from students' feedback, and we embed it into our curriculum review, right? So system framework here, we like to say that from the student, okay, system framework from the student, the individual PO attainment from the student will be generated. I will show later to you how the framework looks like. Okay, so the student will be able to see their PO attainment, okay, in a website. Okay, and then once the student be able to see that, the student will monitor which of the program outcome that the student is not managed to attain at that particular semester, and must report to his or her academic advisor, right? And the CQI takes place after that, where the personal academic advisor will take that input from the student and bring it to the faculty meetings, okay, for the CQI meetings, and the action must be taken within the next semester, okay, and in the process we carry on until we have one loop of action. Then the student will be able to know, to see the suggestion be an input to the curriculum review or any action by the faculty. Okay, this actually we take into account the student as one of our important stakeholders actually. Okay, for example, we have a very hard topics in particular course. So maybe the lecturer will not be able to manage to see that, but the student will be able to input this to the system. And we will pick up that information and we will do any CQI process to that particular course for the improvement for the next semester, right? So this is the framework. Okay, this is the framework, okay, of as you can see, OBE, and also the framework of the system. Okay, over here we can see that it's an example only. Okay, the example of number of students. We have 12 PO here for the particular programs, and we know that how many students achieve what percentage of PO attainment. Okay, in this particular, we call it spider web. Okay, we will be able to see which PO of particular student what are the achievement, and we are able to PA, okay, the academic advisor will be able to identify his or her students' achievement for them to help them, okay, to give input. All right, so this color of yellow color here, we can see that how the students categorized by their attainment of PO, and we make it yellow color so that the personal advisor will be able to identify students what PO they are unable to achieve. Okay, and the next step, the student here must be able to feedback to the faculty what they need for that particular PO to be achieved. Okay, what courses they need to be improved. So these are the process of the CQI. This is very important, and we managed to come up with the students' feedback. Okay, and we have to make sure that the feedback of the student will be taken into action, okay, into the curriculum review or any processes, let's say for like assessment, to be improved, okay, in the CQI process. Right, so all in all, I believe that outcome-based education can drive the future curriculum management. It's easy to be done. It's a concept of CQI processes that taking into account the feedback from all the stakeholders. And the latest information, the latest approach that we have at Universiti Penang is we take into account the feedback from the student themselves. Okay, not only from the external examiners, industry, okay, from the faculty themselves, but to also include the student feedback. So we have a full, complete, okay, feedback system that manage, okay, to provide the best curriculum for our education. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you stay with me. Okay, try to, okay, to share you step by step, my next topics, okay, the technical and professional framework. Let's move a little bit away from the university operation and see the needs of technical and vocational framework. Okay, as we can see that the past two topics I have been talking about. Okay, the ODL, open distance learning, and also the operational of the outcome-based education. But we can see now the new directions, especially for the developing countries. Okay, a nation that requires a workforce in technical and vocational. Okay, they need to be able to provide a certain percentage of workforce, okay, apart from the professional, okay, graduates. Okay, so I'm going to talk about why it comes into pictures and also why it's needed now in Malaysia to support Malaysia to become a developed countries, okay, in the future. We define TVET, okay, by UNESCO. TVET is actually, okay, aspect of educational processes involving general education, study technologies related to sciences, okay, as well as acquisition of practical skills. I would like to highlight here these practical skills. Okay, why we need workforce at practical skills, why we need workforce at professional skills. Okay, so we have to need, because they will blend each other to provide the country with the right workforce ratio. Okay, and able to understand attitude, understand the knowledge, and relate that into various sectors of economic and social life. That's very important, ladies and gentlemen. So when we see the problem now, okay, not only in Malaysia, but also worldwide, okay, that the TVET has faced challenges, okay, but at different countries, especially for the developed countries, okay, the TVET has been able to solve this problem. But the developing countries like Malaysia, there's less response from market industry demand, limited resources, weak participation from other stakeholders, okay, low priorities of government economic policy. Okay. There are also lack of transfer across stream of education system. Okay, they are not really into the visibility of education system. Okay, a lot of industry experience, less value compared to university colleges graduates when they go to work. Okay, how many salary they will get, okay, in their first month of salary. It could be less than the one that graduates from university and colleges. Okay, poverty is still a deterrence, and lack of motivation of students to invest in TVET education. So these are all global challenges in TVET education. So we have to look into this to make sure that our nation have a balanced workforce. Okay, so the pillars of priority areas that the TVET, okay, must assess is the first one is for the youth, so for the youngsters, for the youth employment and entrepreneurships. Okay, we can see that the younger workforce is very important and they need to be skillful in order to supply the nation with the right workforce balance. Okay? And then we look at equity and gender equality. Okay, men and women, they are not the same. Okay, they can also go into the Tibet sectors, even though it's a woman. We have hospitality. We have many Tibet sectors that they can get into, right? And finally, facilitating the transition to green economies and sustainable societies. Okay. I'm not going to talk about this. This is about the Global Education 2030 Agenda by UNESCO. When we see the highlighted words there, it says that ensuring inclusive and equitability quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all. So this is actually enhancing the importance of balance between professional and also private sectors, okay, in all directions. So that's how the government now is looking on how to propel the education sectors in terms of private sectors, okay, to help the nation to grow towards becoming the developed countries. In Malaysia, there are a lot of challenges. Malaysia have provided a good frameworks and also initiatives. So we have in Malaysia, Educational Blueprint 2015 to 2025 in higher education, executive summary. As we can see, there are 10 shifts, and one of the shifts is we can see that's the quality TVET graduates, number 4. Okay. What has become one of the important shifts in education, Malaysian education, because the needs for the TVET graduates to be the certain number of workforce ratio in Malaysia to propel Malaysia towards the developed countries. There are many areas, sectors that needs the graduate from TVETs. Why does it matter? Okay, in Malaysian context, okay, I'm talking about Malaysian context. Under the ETP, Malaysia will require about 2.5, almost triple increase in TVET enrollment by 2025. Almost triple. Okay, and further, TVET is seen as a less. The problem is still less effective pathway in education line. Okay, I'm not sure what happened to the other countries, Thailand, Indonesia, Australia, and else. But in Malaysia, it's still that's the scenario now. And the university thereby they have to limit the number of students, particularly high-performing ones. Of course, will go to the university to apply for such. There is no high-performing student who are interested to apply for such courses. Okay. So at present, under the government's statistics, there is undersupply of TVET workers in 10 of the 12 key national economic area and key sectors. It must be done in any way by many ministry later. Malaysia needs to move from a higher education system with a primary focus on university education and to a sole pathway to success, the one where academic TVET pathway are equally valued. We call it equally valued and cultivated. Then only interest will come from the students to join the TVET workforce. I believe all countries, especially in Malaysia, in ministry, will do through community colleges, vocational college and polytechnics, okay, to become the TVET providers, okay, to supply the right graduates. And industry, they have to actually take up this opportunity. Enrollment in TVET program will expand significantly through extensive partnership. Okay, they have to engage with the ministry, with industry to ensure that supply and demand match. Right, so that the country will get the right balance of the workforce, especially in TVETs. Okay, there are about 7 ministries in Malaysia that provide TVET education providers. We have the Ministry of Human Resource, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Higher Education, okay, Ministry of Work, Ministry of Youth and Sport, Ministry of Rural and Regional Development, and also Ministry of Agriculture and Agro-based Industry. Okay. So in order for them to be able to see the pathway, to become to get into TVET from primary to lower secondary to upper secondary, they are now having 2 pathways. They can join the vocational college, or they can have TVET skill-based public and private institutions, okay, or they can just go straight to the university for matriculation, or private university, public university, territories education to join the workforce. So they have two pathways, and we have to make sure that the balance between the two pathways is very important, and for the country to get the right balance for the workforce, of the nation. Right. So again, this is only the 5 major challenges of TVET institution they need to deal with in facing 4 IR exclusion. Okay, why I'm talking about this? Because this is the future. Okay, TVET graduates is needed because of the 4th industrial revolution explosion. Okay, that needs that kind of workforce that the government, especially the Ministry of Higher Education, must emphasize on to achieve. Okay? Because we know that the challenges are mismatch between industry demand and TVET graduate supplies, perception toward TVETs, lifelong learning programs, human capitals, and dependency on foreign labors. So these are the things that happens in Malaysia. So the government have to come up with a special framework, and to be able to mitigate all the problems, from the first one in terms of the quality TVET graduates. That is under the responsibility of universities and higher education. Okay. We also have the responsive and sustainable governance that's technological driven talents, TVET education system, industry and community collaboration, and also research and innovation. So these are all the framework that's now being focused by the Malaysian government in order for us to achieve the goals of having the right balance and the right perspective of TVET in Malaysia, and to give the nation the right balance towards becoming the developed countries. Okay, all in all, I believe that technical and vocational curriculum is very important, and it's going to provide any nation, especially the developing nation, with the Industrial Revolution 4.0 workforce that is very important to drive the country to become developed countries. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're still with me. I'm taking on my last slide now, last few slides. Okay, we have been talking about online and distant learning. We've been talking about outcome-based education, and also we are talking about the TVET importance of the 4th advancement in education. Now it's not really advancements, actually should be here already for any institution to become a better institutions, is to govern the human resource, and also to provide the better human resource. This university will be able to provide the right graduates. This is important. Okay. So I'm not going to talk about leadership. I believe that many of us here, you are the leaders. You know what is what are the important attributes of leaders to become. Okay, in the human governance, in leadership styles, there are many leadership styles that we refer to many books. These are the most common one. The authoritarian, and the authoritarian is those leader who have the say, in any much of the decisions. Participative leaders, they actually refers to leaders who engage in their colleagues to make any decisions, but it takes some time to get the we can call it the consensus from others. Delegative leaders, they are very smart in delegating the works. Okay, this is very important. Also styles for the leaders, so that the work can be done through a certain expert people that can be done in a very quick way. Don't burden only a certain people. Sectional leaders, they will be able to appreciate the workers, and give and take from the workers. If they done something good, they will be able to appreciate them. So many ways, the best one is the transformational leadership. I think this is belong to a leader that can change the mindset of the workers. In any way, become a role model or mentoring of the workers or the subordinates, and they'll be able to change the organization to become a better place to work. Okay, all these are all important, good leadership styles. But in becoming academic university, we cannot based on specific styles. Okay, it must be act based on scenario and condition. Okay, because if you can assess the risk and we manage to do the assessment into any decision, we'll be able to take one of the leadership style to make decisions. Okay, so you control the dominant style, you'll be able to give the best decisions of the university. Okay, in making sure the university will run smoothly with a good decision being made. Okay, in my experience, as university academic leadership, there are things that we have to look into, especially when we requires both management leadership skills at different ratio for different level. Okay, when we talk about rectors, there could be the percentage of leadership skill must be higher than the management skill. Must be more to the leader, not the manager. Okay, but when you are at the program level managing the program, you should be able to get more in management level, less leadership skills. So these are the ratio that you have to take into account. Once you go up the ladders of the management, you should be able to increase the leadership skills, and try to manage your other works by delegating things to the right managers, right? And then at the same time, you have to see the balance between the top-down and bottom-up approaches. This is only the directive from the top management, how you deliver it to your subordinates. And at the same time, you also will receive feedback from them, how you balance that, to give the feedback to the top management. So you should be able to know where your location is at the ranking of the management. And be flexible, take charge. There is no nothing. There is don't be too rigid. You must be flexible in many decisions because you cannot see some possibilities that you can achieve if you make a little bit decision that they can be a little bit flexible, seen by others, but you think it can going to help the university to make a good what we call that management profits, good for students. They have to take charge. And finally, as a student, we have to take the students as our client. There is a scenario in Malaysia where, of course, in public universities we are funded by the government, right? The students pay the fees and not as expensive as the private universities. But we have to take also the students in all public universities as our client. That's why in my second slide and second topic, I talk about student feedbacks into the educational system. They are our clients. When I was a student, I also really need to give my ideas to the university, but I don't have the platform. This is now for us to get the platform to talk, to give an input to change the curriculum, even though you are students. In many ways, if you are a good student, if you have the right ideas, you have the platform to talk to the faculties. That's important. These are all my sharings from the academic leadership style. But I would like to bring the audience now. I think one of my last slide. I think it's half an hour, right? My last slide, we'll be talking about the student holistic attributes. Student holistic attributes is very important in all academic matters. I believe most of the academic program all around the world, they have to embed this. In Malaysia, in UiTM especially, we have this framework of the courses that will actually add up into the academic self. The academic, we have a program attributes to develop students to becoming holistic graduates. When we establish the curriculum, assess through measurement and monitoring through CLO, PO, and PO achievement, right, through OBE. The result and the feedbacks from stakeholders will be taken into account in the CQI process to improve the program in the QMS requirement by professional body or MQA. However, you have to take into account the courses that include responsibilities, important, ethics and integrity. Where do you put that course? This is the last semester. So how deep is the course? They have to see what type of program the students are enrolling. This is very important because we are providing the nation with the right graduates. responsible graduates who will be the workforce of the nation. A SULAM is actually another part of social interactions, community engagement, and CSR. The student not only mingle around the campus, study, they have to also socialize with the community around the university. So this is important, and the curriculum itself must embed this community engagement. The student will be able to, before they graduate, they already engage with the community, and when they go outside, the workforce of the nation, they are able to interact well, with the communities, and they will be more contributing, to the nation, right? As compared to those who haven't only mingle around the university, they don't see that they are living in a community, right? And the effective domain, I think this in the program outcome, the communication, teamwork, and leadership, all are embedded into the assessment of the program. Okay. Finally, values and religious is very important for all programs, even Malaysia or in Asian countries or all over the world. Okay, because this is actually the driving factors under the general courses. Okay, that the student must be able to sustain throughout their 3 to 4 years of studies in a university. This is the four aspect of student holistic attributes that in UiTM we try to make sure they are engaged, in each program. Okay, so we'll be able to provide the right student for the countries, the right graduates for the countries. Okay, on in all, I would like to say that the human governance is the key to higher learning, education, and operational success. So we have to see, because the human is the operator of the university. If we have the right governance, we have right human capital, we'll be able to produce the right graduates for the nation. I think that's all for my sharing this morning.